A tax fraud scheme busted in Milwaukee, more than $1.2 million stolen.
The I-Team's Courtney Garish investigated how the players fooled the federal government, and you won't believe what eventually tripped up the ringleader, huh, Courtney?
Right, George. That Milwaukee man just pled guilty and is in federal custody in Kenosha County. This was a complicated tax filing scheme that paid out big cash.
This is Javier Flores. Over the course of 2 years, he stole more than $1.2 million filing phony tax returns. According to this criminal complaint, numerous people were involved in the theft. We stopped by Flores' former address on Milwaukee's South Side. No one answered the door. Investigators searched this home and seized tax software, blank tax forms, evidence of false identity documents, and U.S. Treasury checks made out to different people. Federal documents show Flores was paying people in Mexico up to $150 for their personal information. Investigators say he then used the names to apply for individual taxpayer identification numbers, or ITINs. The government requires that or a Social Security number to file a tax return. Flores manipulated the numbers on false returns for an average refund of $5,000 a person.
They're getting identities, any way they can try to make a buck. It's a constant cat and mouse game with us.
Agent Brett Cresson is an investigator with the IRS. He says pulling off this crime takes a lot of work, but the payoff is big.
Unfortunately, we've seen refunds, anywhere from $5,000 to $9,000 per return, so they have an incentive to go to those links.
But the government is identifying more of the false returns before they're paid out.
The goal is to knock down the success rate for the fraudsters when they're filing these to make it unprofitable for them.
In 2015, the IRS stopped almost $9 billion in identity theft returns. In 2016, more than $6 billion. And last year, the number of reported stolen tax return victims dropped 46%. In the case of Javier Flores, the feds caught up to him thanks to his expensive hobby. A fellow gambler at Potawatomi noticed Flores gambling large amounts of money. The criminal complaint shows Flores exchanging up to $50,000 for chips in one day. Investigators say Flores told the other gambler about the tax fraud scheme. That man then reported it to the feds. Flores could spend up to 10 years in jail and face a $250,000 fine.
And again, Flores pled guilty to the charge against him. He will be sentenced in June.
Now, Courtney, this is just one form of identity theft. So what do we as taxpayers do to protect our own tax refunds?
There are some things, and there are also many ways thieves are stealing identities to file those false tax returns. The IRS added some more safeguards this year to help protect taxpayers, and it's constantly sharing these security reminders. Use secure tax preparation software with firewall and antivirus protection. Learn to recognize phishing emails, calls, texts from thieves posing as legitimate organizations, and always protect your personal information. The IRS says you may notice it's taken them a week or two longer to process returns this season. They're just making sure that the filings are legit to try to prevent the fraud.
Always good when the bad guys brag, though, huh?
Isn't that how they always get caught? We have more at tmj4.com.
Thank you, Courtney.